Hey everyone, JB here, the Wolf of Wall Street. Sorry for the delay. Listen, technical difficulties never easy when you're dealing with technology, right? But here we are, right? And I'm here to give you some massive value today. Really teach you about what it really takes to be massively successful, both in business and in life, right? And this is basically the $1 billion sales method, and I've probably created far more than that in terms of income for people over the years. That's probably a very low estimate. And basically, you're going to learn today how I invented the straight line system and how you can become a top 1% closer in the world. All right. So let me just start here by making sure everyone can see me and hear me. We had some technical difficulty. So I got my man Sebastian on the chat here is checking. So, from a scale of 1 to 10, just let me know. Can you see me clearly? Can you hear me? Just put that into the chat, please, so I know. Okay, I'll give you a second here. Everyone good? We getting all the thumbs up around the world? We good? All right, we got about 30,000 people on this webinar, which is pretty insane here, right? So what are we going to do here? Okay, first of all, I want to define who exactly is going to benefit from this webinar. Okay. Number one, I got a list here, right? Employees who feel stuck and want to break free into higher income opportunities. That's number one. Number two, beginners who want to enter sales from scratch and quickly start making some serious money. Okay. Number three, salespeople who are tired of making small checks and you want to jump into the higher ticket sales. Okay. That's something I'm an expert at, right? Entrepreneurs and solopreneurs who want to sell their own offers more effectively. At the heart of that is sales, okay? Next, number five, career switchers looking for a proven skill that guarantees demand in any market. Number six, ambitious individuals who want to join the top 1% of earners in their industry. Easy to do. And number seven, anyone who wants to master the art of persuasion, communication, and financial freedom through mastering the art of sales. That's who this is for. Okay? So let's talk about the details here. What is going to happen today? Well, number one, this session is going to run about maybe 2.5 hours, right? Not going to guarantee a replay for everybody, so stay until the end. There's going to be massive value through the whole entire webinar. Okay, so get rid of all your distractions. I want you to be focused here, all right? Keep your eyes on the screen and, bottom line, okay? And at the end of the webinar, I'm going to reveal the single best opportunity I've ever given for salespeople in years. You miss it live, you're going to miss it forever, okay? So what are we going to cover today? Number one, how to become a top 1% closer, all right? Which means massive money. Number two, how I actually invented the straight line system. Three, the opportunity to be mentored personally by me. Okay, I haven't done this in a long time, but I'm doing it now. All right, and plus we're going to have a secret speaker come on as well, who I'll introduce. Now, just to be clear here, there's going to be no fluff, no recycled content you could find on the internet. I'm covering real actionable strategies here. That's it. Nothing else. Okay? And if you stay until the end, I'm going to share this webinar's presentation with you, and you can use it as your cheat sheet to make massive income. All right? So let's roll. So why is this webinar happening? Well, simply put, it's because sales is still the single fastest and easiest way to catapult yourself into the top 1% of earners in the world. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's always been sales, and it still is to this very day. You stay until the end, and I'll prove to you, beyond the shadow of a doubt, why 2025 is the best year in history to sharpen the skill. So everybody who's on this webinar, right, all 30,000 of you, I want you to type the word ready if you're here for the full ride. Type it in right now, the word ready. I'm waiting. Sebastian, we got everyone typing in?
Yeah, everybody's ready.
All right, everyone's ready, so let's roll forward here, okay? Now, I know you guys are here for a reason, right? More income which we all love, more impact, and ultimately a better life. That's what that translates into. So unless you're already making 7 figures plus and living life on your own terms exactly the way you want it, you better listen closely and stay into the end, or else shame on you, all right? Maybe you've closed a few decent deals here and there in your life, but let's be honest. You're using the same generic scripts as everyone else. That's the start of your problem. Or maybe you never even thought of yourself as someone who could even be in sales. You thought you weren't pushy enough, or you didn't have that gift of gab. The truth is, you don't need this at all. All you really need is a deep psychological understanding of how people actually make buying decisions. And without that, you're basically fighting a psychological war with a fucking water gun. You get it? You're bringing a knife to a gunfight. All right? So while you keep receiving no's, your competitors who know what they're doing are taking your deals. Why? They sound confident, number one. Number two, they sound authoritative like experts. And number three, they sound like they actually deserve to get the sale. You get it? And you, how do you sound? I'm freaking desperate. You think you need years to master this, so you keep making excuses after excuses and waiting for that someday when it's all going to click. And meanwhile, you're missing immediate income, opportunities because you think you're not ready. Well, let me ask you this. How's that working out for you right now? You get it? Not very well, right? You're still in the same place you were last year? Are you still making the same freaking excuses about why someday will be different? Still giving minimal effort and wondering why nothing changes? Same old story, right? Maybe you're in the wrong vehicle chasing the wrong opportunities, while real income is sitting right here waiting for someone with courage. Ever think about that? You're watching other people succeed while you're getting rejected. And it's an emotional roller coaster that's freaking brutal. It truly is. I mean, I don't know how you could live that way. I couldn't. It's a brutal roller coaster. And then there's the big one, the inconsistent income that keeps you stressed about money every waking hour of your freaking life. You can't plan your life. You can't sleep at night. You can't have the lifestyle that not only that you want, but you fucking deserve. You can't have any of it. But what if I told you that could actually be your biggest advantage? Those very things. What if that hunger, that desperation could be what you need to help master this even faster? In other words, your driving force. What if instead of fighting rejection, you could use proven psychological principles that generate predictable results? You ever think about that? What if instead of competing against confident salespeople, you could become the confident salesperson? By the end of this webinar, I'm going to show you exactly how we should finish the sentence, how to become the top 1% salesperson, not in years or in months, but starting right now. Let me repeat that. How to become a top 1% salesperson, not in years and months, but starting now. Now, you know me, okay? If you don't, Google it, right? I don't need 30 minutes to introduce myself and tell you what I've accomplished. Everyone in the world knows, right? So I don't have to sit there and waste your time or mine, all right? Straight line dollars, $1 billion sales method. That's what this is, 0 to $1 billion, okay? 9-figure personal income in a single year. I've accomplished that, right? I've turned, by the way, thousands of average people into top closers. That was in the year 1988. Since then, the number's close to 100,000. And I've created more million-dollar producers than I would say probably every other sales trainer on the planet combined times 5. And I'm confident when I say that. Now, fast forward to 2025, I'm still making millions, still closing deals and loving it, standing here talking to you. Now, back at Stratton, I was all over the media. You guys know that, right? I was in your face 24/7. Everyone knew my wins. Everyone knew my losses, right? Okay? Legend back then. Now, I'm not as wild and as loud as I used to be. Here's why. Because today I work with Fortune 500 companies, the biggest brands in the world, the biggest names doing the most amazing things today, bigger than anything I've ever done before. All right? So there's got to be at least a little decorum. And doing it in a positive way. I'm not talking about taking down Wall Street anymore, right? I'm bigger than ever before, sharper than ever before, impacting more people than ever, which is great about the internet, right? And, venues like this. And I'm busy making 10 times more than in the 1990s. And by the way, you have to, because the world is expensive, far more than back then, all right? I'm building sales teams, fixing broken structures, closing deals hand over fist, day after day after day. So why am I here today, right? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this webinar right now on a Saturday? Well, here's the deal. Because I have a problem that creates an opportunity for you, okay? I'm working with Fortune 500 companies, means constant referral requests. Jordan, we need more people like you. Can you recommend someone? And I have to tell them, no, I don't have a team of people that know what I know, that can essentially do what I do. So how do I fill that gap? How do I fill that need? Because while I was working at the highest levels, the sales world basically went to shit. And I think you know that, by the way. Fake gurus. And by the way, this drives me crazy more than anything, about people that kind of take my content and regurgitate it, bastardize it, corrupt it, water it down, and try to pawn it off as being sales training, right? 30-day promises, Instagram tricks, thousands of people getting terrible training. It's it's a disaster out there, right? The sales training world has truly gone to shit. So how can I recommend someone who didn't learn from me personally? How can I put my reputation on the line for someone who didn't go through my system? I have massive demand for sales trainers, but no sales trainers I believe in and trust that were truly trained at the highest level that I would feel comfortable referring business to. So talented people miss out on life-changing opportunities. Companies can't find the elite closers they need, and I am stuck saying no to million-dollar referrals. No one wins. You get it? It's a lose-lose situation, right? That's why I'm here today, to create an army of elite closers I can actually recommend and feel confident that I'm doing the right thing by the people who I'm recommending them to. And of course, I want to shake the current sales world like I did back in the day. Honestly, when I scroll through these social media and I see all the bullshit and the fake gurus, it's time to shake it up, right? It's time to make it real. That's why I'm here. Did it back then, I'm here to do it today, all right? But let's make it real. This isn't just about me. What does becoming a top 1% closer do for you? What does it mean in your own life? Well, first, obviously, income. By the way, I got my Red Bull here, right? Sober for God knows how many years. All I got left, no more Coke. All I got is Red Bull, right? Keeps me sharp between the years, right? First, income, right? Not survival money. I'm talking about fuck you money. That's what you can get as a top producer. Retire your family, secure your future, travel anywhere, anytime with zero financial stress, own the cars, watches, the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, money, success, luxury. It's all within your reach. It truly is. Second, probably just as important, is freedom. No boss, unlimited earning power. You call the shots because the only limits are the ones that you place or set for yourself. You get it? That's living life. And third is potential. You stop living like a watered down version of yourself. You know, I used to stay at Stratton. I said, if you're burning like a 10-watt fucking light bulb, it's like a living dead. Burn bright. You finally become the person, the man, the woman that you were truly meant to be. You get it? Versus living this dim life on autopilot where you just don't get to enjoy the passion, the greatness, the money, everything that makes life amazing. You miss out on it. From the Stratton Oakmont days to this very minute, I make whatever amount of money I want by talking to people. You get it? By talking, communication. 50,000 a day, 100 grand a day, a million a day, 22 million I made in a single day. And you all know that's true. What amount would make you proud to say you earned in a month? Text it down below. Put it into the chat. What amount of money? 1 month. What's your number that would make you proud? Because if you're a closer, guess what? You can make whatever number you want. You could take what you write down and turn it into reality. And I've seen it over and over again. Closers around me making insane money, literally insane money, because they mastered one system. That's why this is so personal for me, right? I believe everyone deserves financial independence. I truly believe that everyone deserves freedom. That's my mission. That's why I'm here. You get it? I think to live like enslaved to trying to, make a living, and oh my God, and to be, just be beholden to other people and not be able to live life on your own terms is like not living at all. And let me be clear, in the number one name in the sales world, that's me. I am the number one sales trainer in the world. People talk about the best sales trainer. Guess what? You ask ChatGPT, ask anything. It's me, all right? I'm not bragging here, but it's an undeniable fact, all right? So stay until the end, and I'm going to open the door to something almost nobody will ever get, the chance to join the elite ranks of closers that I personally train. You get it? I am going to personally train you, and that opens up a world of opportunity and a massive amount of income for you. So here's my brutal opinion. You want to know the truth? I always speak the truth, right? If you're in the best industry and you're not making multiple six figures a year, you're doing something very, very wrong. That's a brutal truth. Let me say it again. If you're in the best industry out there and you're not making multiple six figures, you are doing something very, very wrong, right? You don't need to invent something extraordinary. You just need to know something that 99% of the closers in the world miss. They just don't get it. Sales is the biggest it has ever been right now. The market is exploding, okay? There's millionaires, even billionaires. And by the way, every billionaire out there pretty much has mastered the art of persuasion as well. It's the single most important skill, bar none, when it comes to making serious money. The ability to close the deal. Sales has never been more important, never been more vital, never been more of a must-have than it is right now at this very moment. Remember that, line I had, pick up the phone and start dialing, right? Closing back then was 10 times harder. I mean, really, than it is today. 10x than it was. Today, it's never been easier to make serious money in sales. You have weapons I could have only dreamed of back in the day. You have Zoom calls to be face-to-face without ever leaving your house or your office. You have WhatsApp voice notes with perfect tonality. You have Instagram DMs that build instant rapport, screen shares that demo in real time. You get it? CRMs that track every conversation. We didn't have this stuff. We did it the hard way. Retargeting that follows up automatically. Like the wind is at your back, you get it? And if you don't take advantage of this, you're out of your freaking mind, okay? The game is faster, the game is bigger, the market is bigger, the tools are more powerful. You can close million-dollar deals from your fucking couch in pajamas while your competition is stuck in traffic driving to meetings. They don't get it. Leveraging tools, knowing what you're doing, part of what we're going to teach here, right, is the difference of how you leverage yourself for massive success. So tell me, how stupid would you have to be not to make money in this type of landscape? I mean, how inept, right? How disconnected from life would you have to be to not be able to make money with this type of tailwinds, this type of technology fueling you at your back? That's the landscape right now. But let's be honest about what's really happening to you right now, right? You're getting lapped, right? By people who aren't as hardworking, capable, or as smart as you. They're running fucking circles around you, right? They're closing deals that you should be closing, making money you should be making, getting the roles you should be getting. And it's not their fault, by the way. They deserve it if they're doing it. It's your fault. Let me repeat, it's not their fault. It's yours, okay? Every night you go to bed knowing you left money on the table, knowing you could have closed that deal. The worst part of all, by the way, you know you're capable of what? And tell me that's not true. Deep down, you know you're capable of more. And that's the fucking irony. That's what digs in your craw every single night. You feel it eating away at you. That voice in your head saying, I should be making 10 times what I'm currently making. That voice is right. And every day you ignore that voice, you're shortchanging yourself. You're self-sabotaging. You're digging a deeper hole. You don't need years or decades to build serious wealth. You just don't. If you're already in sales, congratulations. You're mostly there. You're in the right place, right time. But still, 99% of closers struggle. Well, why is that? Why do they struggle? I'm sure you've seen people that hit the gym, right? But barely achieve any results. Common, right? And it's visible. You see, man, what the fuck is this person doing? They're working out. Nothing's happening, right? Doesn't mean that the gym doesn't work. It means they don't know how to use it properly. You get it? The gym is a tool. You want to get results, you got to use that tool properly. The same happens in sales. Even with sales being the easiest path by far to earn huge amounts of money, no doubt about it, most people never achieve it because they learn it from Instagram, false gurus, and pick up bad methodology. People who have no business teaching sales, who've never really closed on a high level themselves, all right? That's your mentor. How do you become a top 1% earner in sales? You know how? You need to use the straight line persuasion system. The system has turned average people, literally, I would probably say at least 500,000 average people into $1 million producers. And I'm not even exaggerating. It's been taught all over the world, and it works in every industry, in every culture, and anyone who's willing to apply it. I'll tell you how I invented the system. Very few people know the story, right? It was never shown in the movie, right? And I'm going to tell it because you're here, real quick, right? What happened is I had started Stratton. I was selling penny stocks to average moms and pops. I had 12 people I employed, right? And not the sharpest tools in the shed, not highly educated, no members of the so-called Lucky Sperm Club, right? We were selling penny stocks to average moms and pops, right? That's an easy sale, relatively. It's an impulse sale. When someone buys, they spend $1,000, right? And I was teaching a system, and it was a great system, right? And it worked really well for that. Then one day I had this brainstorm. Let me try to close and sell to the richest 1% of Americans, people with big money, that when they invested, they put in $500,000 or $1 million into one idea. And when I tested the idea myself with my junior partner, Danny, I'm going to make this long story short, right? We cracked this code for closing these $1 million people, right? And my closing rate was 50%. Danny's was in the high 30s. We were smashing it. And yet, when I tried to teach it to my 12 Strattonites, their closing rate was 0. They couldn't close a fucking door. Now, just imagine, we were calling the same leads, same people, using the same script I had written. My closing rate's 50%. Danny's is close to that. Theirs is 0. Now, if you were the CEO of this company, what would you do? You'd be pulling your hair out of your head, right? So what did I do? Well, I went on a quest. There was no internet back then. I was buying books, trying to find everything I could, listen to tapes about sales. I flew clear across the country from New York to California to attend a seminar that purportedly had the world's best sales trainers. And what I quickly found out was that the stuff that I was teaching was far better than what everyone else was teaching, yet what I was teaching wasn't good enough. Even that wasn't good. So I was fucked. I was stuck. And when I got back to Stratton now, right, it was 30 days of trying to teach these young kids how to close rich people, right? They wanted to go back to selling penny stocks. And that just infuriated me. They're like, we're not making any money. We can't close the rich people, right? And I was like, all right, let's give one of my, I'll give one of my marathon sales training sessions at night. I'd come back once a month and do 3 or 4 hours at night, right? And that's what we did. I'll never forget this day. It was a Tuesday evening, 1988 in November, right? And everyone came back, 12 people, right? I stood in front of my trusty whiteboard, right? And I see these sad faces, right? These long faces, and they hadn't closed the deal in a month. And I stood before them and said, guys, I don't get it. What is so hard about this? I'm doing it. Danny's doing it. We're making a ton of money. How come you can't do it? But we're not leaving until we figure this out. What's the problem? And at first it was silence. And I was really fucking pissed, right? So there's dead silence, and finally someone says, there's too many objections. Another guy goes, yeah, there's 1,000 objections. Someone, yeah, they keep cutting us off. We can't even get our pitches off, right? I'm like, all right, great. There's 1,000 objections, right? I'm like, great, let's write them all down. I'm like, come on. And I had my whiteboard. I said, I want to hear them. First there was silence. Then someone says, they want to think about it. So I said, great. I wrote think about it on the board. What's next? They want to call back. I wrote that on the board. What's next? They want to speak to their wife. Great. What's next? Bad time of year. Great. What's next? Don't have money right now. Great. What's next? Silence. There was 5. I'm like, guys, that's 5 where you have 995 to go. Come on, keep throwing them out there. And on they went, and on they went. They kept listing objection after objection after the objection, and at the end of the day, when they were done, they'd exhausted every objection they could think of, and the board was filled with as many objections as they could muster, right? There was 14 fucking objections on the board. Not 1,000, 14. And by the way, half of them were repeats of 2. It was like, I want to speak to my wife, my lawyer, like someone else, my accountant, the butcher, the baker, the fucking candlestick maker, Santa Claus, the tooth fairy, right? Or bad time of year. It's tax time. It's back to school time. It's Groundhog's Day. It's freaking leap year, right? And in that moment, I got so fucking angry. And I looked at these guys and said, you guys are unbelievable. Man, you're whining about these 1,000 objections. At the end of the day, there's 14. Half of them are repeats. There's really like 5 of them, right? And I said, but even those don't matter. I'm like, don't you guys get it? And suddenly this thought pops in my mind. And I say, every sale is the same. And I looked at their faces and they're like, what? Like they give me this like, what the fuck are you talking about? Every sale's not the same. Every sale's different. People have different needs. They have different objections, different values, different experiences, different pain points, Every sale can't be the same. And I'm like, guys, every sale's the same. Watch. And then this other thought pops in my head, and I turn to the whiteboard, and for the very first time, I drew this long, thin, straight line across the whiteboard and put a big, thick X on either end. I said, watch, this is your open, this is your close, right? And then from that moment, a brand new system that no one had ever even thought of before, that I had never thought of before, was an entirely revolutionary way of teaching sales that allowed anyone, regardless of their age, their race, their creed, their color, their talent level, their socioeconomic background, their educational status. Didn't matter who you were, where you came from. You could have went to Harvard University or grown up in Hell's fucking kitchen. It did not matter. This system that I created, this way of managing a sale, of taking control of a sale, positioning yourself a certain way, in a matter of days, these kids that could not close a fucking door became $1 million producers. And just like that, the straight line system was born. It was that powerful. One night. And over the following days and weeks and months, I kept refining the system and adding to the system. And that's what happened. Now, flash forward over the years, right? The system just it allowed any person who came to Stratton to become a multimillionaire, right? Eventually, it spiraled out of control, right? And you know the story, right? And ultimately, many, many years later, the system got out there and it was watered down. I decided to start teaching it again in around 2010. And I scrubbed it and I made it more powerful, took out some of the stuff that shouldn't have been in there, right? Made it more ethical and more sustainable. And I reinvented this and spread it out around the world. And now the system has been used by every major Fortune 500 company, salespeople in every country you can think of in the world. And it is by far the single most powerful, effective system of sales and persuasion ever invented. And guess what? It's easy to learn if you learn from the right person. And I'm willing to teach it to you. You get it? So the only question is this: are you ready to learn it? Are you ready to be $1 million producer? Are you ready to be in this 1% and start living life on your own terms? All right? If you are, put in the chat, I'm ready. Because you better be, because life slips you by very quickly. It does not last. I'm telling you, life moves quickly. You turn around and boom, 5 years is gone, 10 years is gone, and the moment to take action is now. That's how it all started. They say necessity is the mother of invention. There's two things that lead to creation. There's motivation and there's desperation. And in my case, it was that desperation, right? Here's the key mindset, the change that I want you to have right now. Most people think sales, they think it's about convincing people to buy something they don't want. That's honestly the furthest thing from the truth. In reality, becoming elite at sales is about helping people buy something they already want but are uncertain about. You understand that? We're not trying to get people to buy things they don't need or want. We want to help people get the things they want and need by helping them become more certain about them. When you realize this simple fact, when you realize that you're not a pushy salesperson, you're just providing someone with the context they need to make the right decision, you start feeling proud that you're helping people overcome their natural uncertainty, which sometimes is healthy, the healthy skepticism to get the things they want and need in life so they can live a better life. They can be more empowered. They can be more happy. They can be more fulfilled. You get it? SLP, straight line persuasion, has changed hundreds of thousands of lives. And it's inarguably the number one sales method in the entire world. To this day, I receive, countless messages with words of gratitude. Literally, I could go on and on. In fact, I can't walk down the street. I can't go out to a restaurant without someone coming up to me and saying, you know what, you changed my life. I read your book. I went through your course. I let you mentor me, and, my income soared. I started my own business. I bought a home. I married the person of my dreams. I provided for my family, retired my parents, and on it goes. Now, you know how I invented SLP? And who here now understands, okay? So now that you know how I invented it, right? Who here now understands that if you use this system, you will sell more, you will make more money, and you'll become a top 1% earner in your industry? Who knows that, right? Write it in the chat if you believe that, because honestly, if you don't at this point, then you're missing the boat. You get it? You know how I invented it. You know that it works. You know that you need it. The only question is, are you ready to be a top 1% earner in your industry? And God knows you fucking deserve it. Because anything less than that, shame on you, especially when there's an option to be that. So who's ready to master the system with my guidance and dominate sales in 2025? That's the goal, to dominate sales in your industry in 2025. Not in the future, not in 3 years, now, 2025. We got 4 months to go. And guess what? Easy. Drop that in the chat that you're ready to dominate, okay? Because that's what's going to happen. So now you have just two options, right? Okay, the first option is you want to learn. I have tons of public content over the years that you can go through on your own, right? In theory, there is no difference, as Yogi Berra says, in theory, in between practice and theory. In practice, there is Yogi Berra. I said that, right? Okay? I fucked up that quote, by the way. In theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is. You get it? Maybe you'll get some results, but my free content was there for years. Did you learn or did you implement it? You get it? So you know what? Without guidance, without hands-on mentoring, you don't get it. It's the same old, and it's like almost the definition of insanity. Yeah, I'm going to watch some tapes. I'm going to watch some videos. You do the same thing over and over again. You expect a different result. Guess what? It ain't happening. You got to make a change. You got to make a shift, okay? That's the definition of insanity. It's exactly what you've been doing, hoping things will like magically improve while using the same amateur techniques that got you stuck in the first place. All right. But I'm willing to bet that you haven't felt stuck in your career income for just a few weeks. It's probably been years, hasn't it? Right? If it was just weeks, you probably wouldn't even be here. But no, it's been years. This time is, it's like this grind. You're stuck in the muck and mire of mediocrity and averagism, right? For years and years. If you're going to make the changes that you needed to make on your own, you would have already made them. You wouldn't even be here on this webinar. The fact that you're here tells me one thing, that you're ready for real change. Aren't you? That's why you're here. Then there's option 2, the good one. Well, I will personally train you, and my team will be right there with you, showing you exactly how to fucking crush it. You want the updated straight line system that actually works like magic in 2025? Well, here's what you need to understand about this opportunity. And I'm going to be brutally honest with you, because it's the only way I know how to speak. Brutal truth, right? I've never done this before, ever. For 30 years, if you wanted to learn from me, you had to pay inside Fortune 500 companies with millions of dollars, right? I'm finally giving you everyone the opportunity to make a quantum leap in as little as 90 days. You're all going to get that opportunity. 90-day quantum leap. Using the processes I've been refining for over 3 decades. You get it? 3 decades. You don't have to figure this out alone. Imagine the creator of the very system guiding your every move. Understand? If I helped you reach top 1% income potential next year, would that make it worthwhile? Think about that. The top 1% in your industry. How much would that be worth to you? I told you this event was going to be historical, right? And it is historical because of this announcement. You ready? Here's the deal. When you think back to this date, September 13th, 2025, years from today, you'll remember it as the day your income, your life, and your trajectory changed forever. Remember what I told you at the beginning of this session? Do you remember? I said I have a huge opportunity for you, okay? But before I reveal it, I want to see one thing first. I want to see how much you actually want it. I want you to tell me. So light up the chat right now. Make it loud. Show me that you're ready. Seriously, do that right now. This is a rare opportunity. In the past, the only way to get direct guidance from me was through a Fortune 500 company, paying me millions of dollars, or being part of my inner circle. This is the first time I'm doing this. So light up the chat. But today, for the first time in literally 5 years, I'm opening up that door. The window of opportunity is opening. Okay, I'm presenting to you right now, brand new, first time ever, 2025, the Mentorship Edition. You get it? 2025 Mentorship Edition. Like nothing I've ever done before, not even close. The main goal here is to help you make a shit ton more money using my proven, unique system. This is for people who are either starting from zero, sales professionals who are ready to level up, and I don't mean one level, I mean fucking seriously level up, right? And entrepreneurs who want to scale to 7 figures and maybe even 8. Because if you're at 7, you got to add a 0 onto that income. Inside of the program, the opportunities are literally endless. For some, you're going to get 3 months in my inner circle, directly in my inner circle, direct access to me via WhatsApp, and exclusive in-person events, the kind of access most people only dream of. What are you going to get? Proven frameworks, step-by-step systems that have already generated millions across multiple industries. You stop guessing how to sell and start following a model that's proven to work. There is no guesswork. Personal mentors, 7-figure earners, mentors from the top 1% in high-ticket insurance, B2B, SaaS sales, and more. They'll give feedback on your deals, give you strategies, and help you avoid the mistakes that normally cost people months of wasted time and thousands and probably tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get it? You're going to get feedback from me. Q&A sessions. Mistakes get fixed immediately. You don't have to lull in your mistakes and say, what the fuck is going on? No, they get fixed. Your progress accelerates 3 to 5 times as fast. Job opportunities. This is big. This is job opportunity, right? We connect you directly with companies and projects looking for closers. This is your fast track to your first $5,000 to $10,000 deals and way beyond. My personal guidance, not just training, but direct access to my experience. There's a difference between the two. It's not just training, it's access to experience, okay? My focus is to make sure that you actually make money, not just finish a freaking course. I failed miserably if you just finish. No, you got to make real money, okay? AI Jordan Belfort, analyzes your calls, answers your questions, and keeps you in sales clarity 24/7. A group call with me. Live calls where I show you how to close faster, how to close bigger deals. This is your weapon that nobody in the sales world has. And live events in person with practice, networking, and deal breakdowns. This is where partnerships form that can make you literally millions. You get it? And there you can meet me personally. Everything you need to make money during the program. If you're tired of being average, and literally, again, I always say, average sucks. And you want to be in that plus, that column with the big money column, well, type plus in the chat right now. Put that plus sign in the chat. You want to be in that, that group that's just not fucking average. Average truly sucks. You need to be extraordinary, a top 1% closer. For the first time now, you can learn from me directly. All right? Right from the horse's mouth. And as I said, for the past few years, you could only learn from me if you were in my inner circle, the very close inner circle. The investment started at 7 figures. And I'm not exaggerating. That's what clients pay me to be one-on-one, 7 figures. Now I'm opening it to the public. People like you. One in, not doing that. That's how my team will revert each applicant. Each one of you will get reviewed personally to make sure you're right for this opportunity, okay? So if you want in, you're going to complete the form first that's on your ticket. That's your ticket right here, okay? You got to complete the form, get interviewed to make sure that you're right. I don't care about talent. I don't care how much money you have. That's not what I want. I want to make sure you have the right mindset, the right drive, that your head is in the right place. Because I don't want to waste my time mentoring someone that's not truly ready to roll. You get it? And I don't want to waste your time either, okay? I'm not here to babysit people who, kind of want success. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to handpick a small army of absolute fucking killers, mercenaries that want to make big money. People who can take this system and dominate. Dominate so hard it makes competitors freaking cry. You get it? That's what I'm looking for. Those type of people who must apply. Who? I'll tell you. Who is this for? You're tired of making excuses to start performing like a top 1% closer? Committed to real transformation? Is that who you are? Are you ready for direct access to the updated methodology that has created more millionaires in sales than any other system in history by a wide margin, by a factor of 2, 3, or more? Who is this not for? I'll tell you that one too, right? If you're comfortable being outperformed by people who aren't even as smart as you because you're too stubborn to learn what actually works, well, guess what? This ain't for you. You shouldn't apply if you're comfortable being outperformed by people who aren't as smart as you. You're too stubborn to learn. You're looking for a magic pill or some get-rich-quick scheme instead of building real, lifelong, life-changing skills. You're okay going to bed each night knowing you're leaving money on the table while your competitors get rich. This is not for you. If that's your mindset, you should not apply. Team is a non-negotiable step. You got to speak to them first. And now I'm going to open the application form, the form that will become the most important one in many of your lives. And I'm dead serious about that. You can click that link once in 5 years, only once. Only once in a decade, you can learn directly from the number one person in the world. Okay? Are you ready? Dead serious. You ready? Then click that link. And there we go. The registration is now officially open. Okay? You click the link and you book your chat now. The first 100 people to do that, okay, will get a straight line marketing course as a special gift for acting fast. That's only for the first 100 people. So click that link right now. I want you to fill out the short form. This locks in your spot for the interview. You're going to book a call with my team, meet with an SLP 2025 Mentorship Edition advisor, get your personalized roadmap and payment options, okay? And whether you're trying to hit your first 10,000 in commissions, the fundamentals are exact and precise no matter what you sell. Doesn't matter. But the application depends entirely on your unique situation. I'll repeat that. This application depends on you, your unique situation. On the call, we figure out exactly where you are and exactly how to customize this system so it suits your needs, allows you to achieve your goals perfectly. It's designed for you, not one size fits all. We have 10 times more people on the webinar than spots. So click the link now before it's too late. You're going to get locked out, okay? And look, I'm going to be direct with you. Most people will watch this webinar, and this is the saddest part of all. They'll love it. They'll say, wow, it's great, but you'll do absolutely nothing. That's most people in the world. They'll go back to their comfort zone and wonder why nothing changes. That's human nature. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't, it isn't talent, by the way. It's a willingness to take action when opportunity presents itself. You get it? It's not talent. Yeah, it's nice to be talented, but it's the willingness to take advantage of opportunity when that door opens. That's the key. If you recognize yourself in what I'm about to say, it would be fucking stupid not to book this call. I don't sugarcoat things. You either act now or keep losing. You get it? Act now or just keep on the losing track that you're on. Stop being a victim of circumstance and become the person who creates circumstance. The same system that built my empire is available to you right now, but only if you're man enough to take it. It's not going to walk up and grab you. You got to grab it. You get it? That's the way life is. So book a call, sign up now, okay? Got the website right there. This is your opportunity, okay? And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It's not going to be around. It's just for today. I'm going to be brutally honest again here. After this program fills up, I am done. I'm going back to my Fortune 500 clients who pay me millions. This is my one opportunity to bring access to me to everybody. That's what this is about. You'll never get another chance like this ever. Okay? One shot deal. This is it. So take your shot because this is it. Now, here's what's going to happen next. Let's go through it, right? I'm going to bring in someone very special. You ready? He sold over $250 million in products online. He's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, Zoom, ClickFunnels, and top leaders like Alex Hormozy. Guy's a major winner. I want you to meet Jason Fladlian, okay? So he's going to be on? All right? So I want you to meet my man Jason here. He's awesome, all right? So guys, remember, you have time to take action now, and I want you to give Jason the same attention and respect you gave to me, all right? So here he is. I'll see you guys soon.
There's a little bit of a delay. And I have the chat up here. I have the questions up here. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through some of the pertinent questions that you have that you saw from what Jordan shared with you on this new sales program that he has. And I want to stay here and I want to spend about the next hour answering any and all questions that you have related to what Jordan talked about today, related to sales, related in general to some of the things that you see happening, and you would like some advice to help you determine what you should focus on in sales and if this program makes sense for you. Because this is a little special kind of a deal here. This is not a program that is available. I mean, it's not been available for 5 years. It probably won't be available again for 5 more years. I think in the next 5 years, we'll see a lot of AI shifting occurring. Things are going to happen that are going to dramatically affect the ability of sales in a very positive way. So I'm going to, I got the YouTube playing over there and I'm in Zoom. So hopefully there's no lag now. I think with Zoom, we should be able to get rid of the lag. I'm going to ask to share the screen. I just wanted to share a couple slides with you. And then I really want to jam into some questions here and help you with sales in general, why it's so important, what it looks like in 2025, if it makes sense for you to join with Jordan. I think for most of you, it will make sense to at least book the call and determine if you're a right fit or not. Also, we have the ability to answer all these questions, and in the chat there you will see that there is a link for you to click on. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen real fast. I just want to give context, okay? My goal is to help you understand that sales is the greatest thing that ever exists. And I will tell you, out of everybody I've worked with who has done sales, there is nobody who has a better track record with sales than Jordan. He is the GOAT of sales. He is the best. And this is such a good opportunity that I wanted to come in here and give it my stamp of approval and my encouragement. And again, show you also how sales can be the best form of helping, coaching, and consulting possible by helping you through this process to determine if you make sense. But I just wanted to show you a couple of things. We did 8 figures in sales in the first 48 hours. Sebastian, can you mute yourself, please? Because I can hear you in the background. Can we mute Sebastian, please?
Yeah, I was watching it off of my phone with no Wi-Fi.
All right, one second. I'm going to send these guys a message so that way they can hang in there.
Still watching it on live.
Okay, I think.
Is there any way we can?
All right, so what you're going to see on the screen, I'm just going to have to talk over them until they mute him here, is this is a 8-figure sales we did in 48 hours for a client that I worked with, where I came in and I did the sales for him. And if you have no idea what that looks like, that means I made a lot of money as a closer in this scenario. This is Iman Ghatzi, who is an absolute leader in his space. In 2021, I did a launch that did $57 million, where I came in and did the closing on this launch. This was in 2015. We were selling somebody else's product as an affiliate. So I wasn't I wasn't the product creator. I was selling somebody else's product, and I did $9.8 million. This is my company, Rapid Crush, in 8 days. You probably saw recently Alex Hormozi's launch. He says I changed his life and that I gave him the best on offer creation and persuasion in the space. And I've done paid consulting for Alex as well. My clients these days, when I work with them, they're generally in the $400 million range, and they hire me to come on and do the closing and the selling for them as well. So I am sold on selling. And what I would like to do is sell you on selling. And I think that this is such an unbelievably great opportunity that I'm so excited to be here in front of you with this. So at any point in time that you're ready to fill out the short form, book a call with Jordan's team, and then determine if this is a right fit mutually for you and for him and for his team, in the YouTube chat, there's this big old thing at the top. You just click on that link whenever you're ready. It will take you to the page. Very simple, very easy to fill out. So I understand also that there was a lot of technical issues involved in this. Hey, welcome to the real world, by the way. I'm going to mute my phone now because I had the team on just so I could hear them. Welcome to the real world. This is what sales looks like in the real world, which is actually exciting because here's what I see, and I've seen so many people, and I've coached over 150,000 people throughout the years. And the number one thing that I see, and I'm going to go off screen here and go face to face with you now. The number one issue that I have seen is people think it needs to be perfect before you even start. And that is clearly not the case. Done beats perfect every single time. But what you need to know is a couple basic foundational, formational things to help you with success. And then you need to be put in front of the right people in order to sell. And so when you join with Jordan, you're going to have the ability to be in front of the right people as easy as possible, because Jordan is having all these opportunities of people saying, I need closers, I need closers, I need closers. And then he needs to hand over the right closers to these people. It's good for him. It's good for you. So hopefully that makes sense for you. So this is the main reason why this is showing up here for you today. The other reason too is AI. And I'm going to put a pin in that, and I'm going to come back to that in about 5 minutes. But what I want to know right now is I'm going to look into the chat, and I'm going to see what's going on right now. And I want to see some of the questions that you're having, and if there's any insight that I could provide for you related to this and just in general when it comes to, should you be doing selling? If you're selling, should you be doing this? If you are really wanting to see what the best opportunities are, what would that look like? Very, very good question. And by the way, and this is also a good example of this, a lot of people have a reputation that thinking that sales is a certain thing when it's actually the exact opposite thing. So the general public is always going to look at sales with a side eye, and they're always going to be like, ooh, like a dirty diaper that they hold up, like, oh my God, selling is this terrible, worst thing in the world. But if you actually study every single successful person that's existed out there, such as Steve Jobs, such as Warren Buffett, such as anybody that you look up to as a hero that has done something remarkable in the world, whether they did it naturally or they studied it, and I know some of these people, most of them studied it, they had a strong sales background. I can also say, working with all the biggest companies in the entire world in this space, in being online, every single one of them, what helps their company grow the most is salespeople. That's the one area that they lack in the most. A lot of them have dialed in their marketing these days. Like, you could put up a website just like this. You can put things in place very quickly. But what they're discovering is if they need their Facebook ads to work effectively, if they need their Instagram campaigns to pop off, they need somebody at the end that can close that sale. And here's the other thing that I love about sales. Guess how much money you make with a sale that's almost closed? Guess what that is? And the answer is it's exactly $0. You don't make any money if the sale does not close. If you get it 99% of the way closed, you still make $0. So you want to be, here's a wealth principle that's worth writing down for you. You want to be in a position where as close to money exchanging hands as possible, because then you tend to get the most money, because you get the sale over the end zone. You put it into the end zone, you make the deal, and you should be compensated for that. So it doesn't matter that you didn't have to be there in the first 99% of the maturation process of the sales cycle. What matters is you close. And closers make more money than people who don't close. And they make a lot more money. And this is why real estate agents, they didn't have to do all the work, but at the end, they get a big old commission because they close the deal and they make it work. And this is true, and this is more true as AI pops off and gets bigger and bigger, because guess what AI cannot do yet? Close. Now, when will it be able to do that? I don't know. You know what AI is able to do? Set appointments better. You know what AI is also able to do? It's able to drive more leads to book calls. It's able to follow up through email more efficiently. And so therefore, don't you believe that in that particular situation, the demand for salespeople, is it going to go down or is it going to go up? Okay. And Michael says, what are your credentials? I'm not sure if I'm going to try to pop on the screen and show them again, but they're pretty vast. $250 million in sales situations. I've worked with all the biggest names in the industry. Obviously, we can track back around. I did multiple 8-figure launches just this year as the primary closer for the companies that I work with. Okay. How to answer I need some more time thing. Okay, this is good. Thank you for answering this question, asking this question. Mindful musings. Cool, Dave, as well. Let me give y'all a little rundown on every single quote unquote objection that you can encounter. And Jordan did this great earlier when he talked about the story of when they were trying to grow the firm and everybody said, oh, there's all these objections and we're running to all these issues and there's too many of them and we don't know what to do. And what they discovered is there's only a handful of objections that ever occur in any situation. And here's what's really interesting. Whenever you occur with any objection that you run into, there's only 3 responses to any objections. So everybody pay attention and write this down, okay? There's only 3 responses when anybody gives you an objection. So if anybody says, hey, I need more time to think about this, guess what? There's only 3 ways to respond to that. If somebody says this is too expensive, guess what? There's only 3 ways to respond to that. If somebody says it's too much, it costs too much money, there's only 3 ways to respond to that. So here's the first one. The first one is you disagree with it. And oftentimes I don't recommend you do that. If somebody says it takes too much time, you say, no, that doesn't really take that much time. Let me explain to you why it doesn't take that much time. And that can work. The second way is you ignore it. If somebody says it takes too much time, you say, do you really want this? And is it worth you putting in the effort to get it? And that can work, and that makes sense in certain scenarios. But the number one best effective way that you can do when somebody brings up some sort of issue or challenge is you agree with it. Somebody says it takes a lot of time. You say, yes, it takes a lot of time. Many things take a lot of time. We have to put time into the things that matter to us. The question is, does it make more sense to put time into here, or does it make more sense to put time into something else? And then you explore that with the person to see if it makes sense or not. Because our goal here isn't to sell everybody. Our goal here is to sell the people who should buy, who want to buy, who know they need to buy, but for some reason hesitate to buy. And guess what? That is a majority of the market. Because let me ask you this question. Is there something you know you should be doing right now that you're not doing? And you want to do it, and you wish you could do it, but for some reason something stops you from doing it. And this is what sales is helping people that want to do a thing so badly, that know they need to do a thing so badly, but something stops them and makes them hesitate from doing the thing. Also true is the opposite. Are there things you're doing right now that you no longer want to do? You know they're bad for you. You know they're harmful to your future. You wish you could stop doing them. You struggle with them. You fight over them, yet you continue to do them even though you don't want to do them. And this is what sales also is it's helping people stop doing the things they want to stop doing, that they have trouble stopping doing, and they wish they could stop doing, but for now they can't stop doing. So they need somebody to help them with that. And that's why sales is the greatest thing in the world when it's done correctly, is you are helping people do what they already do, but somehow on their own right now with their current resources, time, capabilities, efforts, they're just not able to make that happen. Okay? So this is the fundamental truth of successful selling. I've been doing this for 18 years, and this has always made me win, is I help people that want to do something finally be able to do it. And this is what Jordan's going to teach you as well. This is why Fortune 500 companies bring Jordan in. This is why, regardless of what he has or hasn't done in the past, regardless of what the movie says about him, The Wolf of Wall Street, is Fortune 500 companies recognize he has the capability of helping people who should buy to buy, and helping people that aren't buying, that it's harmful for them for every minute they don't buy, to stop that harm by investing and by purchasing. And this scales all the way up, and this scales all the way down. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting off and you need to make your first $4 sale. That was me in 2007. Or if you make $250,000 sales or $1 million sales or multi-million dollar sales, which is me in 2025, and putting those deals together. The principles are exactly the same. And what's cool about this is when you start making a little bit of money with this, it's really easy then to just aim up a little higher to make a little bit more money, and then aim up a little higher and make a little bit more money. And listen, I get it. There's a lot of chuckleheads in the peanut gallery right now. First of all, we're on YouTube, and I'm going to circle back and I'm going to look at some questions here in a minute. And just hang in there with me. There's 2,345 people watching as I see it on the YouTube screen right now, but I promise you I will circle back to your questions in a second. But I really want to drive this point home. People like Jordan, they don't typically come out and train the masses. First of all, it's not really worth it from them financially, because the contracts they make at the big dog level is way more money than they could ever make on their own directly selling courses. The second reason is a lot of, there's just no reason to have the friction. If people have their mind made up, and they're looking to get upset, then they'll find a way to get upset. And if you're in front of them, then they'll get upset at you. So there's no reason to do it for the people that aren't already sold or convinced. We don't want to convince them, but if we go out there and we reach thousands of people, we're going to pick some of them up. So there has to be some ulterior motive then as to why he would be out here in front of you right now, and why he would be wanting to offer this up to you. And I will tell you what it is. And it's very simple. We need more closers. There's an epidemic. Unfortunately, there's a problem with lack of selling in 2025. A lot of people think technology can bridge the gaps. Technology helps get the deal closer to being sold, but a closer still needs to sell it. And so Jordan is having opportunities to bring more people in to fulfill the demand of the lack of salespeople that he can no longer refer right now. But the other reason too is, and I'm a broken record on this, but if it's important, it needs repeated. AI is changing the game completely, and not in the way that you think it is. The way you think it is, or what most people think it is that if I can just automate the sales process, then I no longer need a salesperson, when the opposite is true. The more you automate everything else, the more important sales becomes. And so this is a rare opportunity. This is incredibly a rare opportunity for you to be able to join and apply and try it out. And there's different levels too. So if you're concerned like, oh, is this going to be super expensive? And oh my God, am I ready for this yet? All you got to do is book a call. And all you got to do is have a conversation. And then that conversation will help you decide at what level, if any level, it makes for you to engage in this and make sense of this. And you can see it's at the top of the chat right now. And you can go ahead and click that through when you're ready. All right. So well, here's a good one. Barath says, there are multiple decision makers for the products that I sell. Urgency creation becomes a challenge because while urgency is created with one or two of them, it takes time to make other decision makers. Okay, that's a fair question. Inside the program, obviously, Jordan's going to break this down specifically and exactly how you deal with this directly. But I'll give you a little bit of advice here for free. There's two things that you want to do in this situation when you have multiple decision makers. The first thing is you want to have more than one deal in the pipeline. So the best thing you can have as a salesperson has the opportunity to close many deals simultaneously. The easiest ways you can ever raise your prices, by the way, is when you have more demand than you have supply. So if you have 5 potential deals out there that can close and you can really only fulfill on 1 or 2 of those deals right now because of capacity and resources or for any other thing out there that would prevent you from taking on more than one person at a time, that deal tension alone will naturally make deals close faster, and you will need less of those deals in order to happen. So that's the first thing, is you need to feed your pipeline. And what happens when you become good at selling is instantly your pipeline fills up because there's not very many good closers out there. There's very few of them. So when somebody develops a reputation as a closer, they start getting massive demand. And then naturally, their close rates go up, their price points go up, and everything as a result, okay? Now, here's the second thing about this, and this is what also is interesting. When you have multiple decision makers, one of the strongest things you can do, and Jordan's going to teach you this, is you set the frame up front on what the expectation is and how this deal will go through. And I've done this too many times to count. And it's simple and it's easy, yet it works so effectively. You say, here's what we're going to do, and here's how this is going to work, is I'm going to present this to you. You're going to go and you're going to take it. You're going to have a conversation about it. But then because we both respect each other's time and we want to decide whether this makes sense or not, can we just agree in principle that we can make a decision relatively quickly as opposed to going back and forth over and over and over again? Is that something that we can agree to, or is that something that's impossible to meet the standard of? And this is just an example of setting the attention ahead of time. So I've sold hundreds of millions. My first goal is to show you how to do X, Y, C, 1, 2, and 3. And my second goal is to sell you something. And I say, if I don't make good on my first intention of X, Y, Z, then feel free to disconnect and not buy whatever I offer at the end. However, if somehow, some way I'm able to fulfill on X, Y, Z, 1, 2, and 3, then will you at least consider the offer that I'm going to make at the end of this presentation here today? And that's a very general framework, if you will. But I've wrote 4 7-figure and 1 8-figure presentation just in the last 4 months. And every single one of them in the first 2 minutes of the sales call set that frame, set that intention straight away right up front. The cool thing about 2025 and moving on is sales is no longer this mysterious thing that people are surprised that they're being pitched at the end of a presentation. Everybody kind of expects it these days. It's not a big shock and awe. In fact, most people are aware of these selling techniques because things like YouTube allow people like Jordan to reach millions of people. for free. Isn't that incredible? Isn't that amazing, actually? And so because of that, what has changed and what has stayed the same? So what has changed is people are more aware of selling, and some people think that's a negative thing, but also because they're more aware of selling, that allows you to set different frames that you can step into and get mutual agreement on, and then you can make more sales quicker, make them more effectively, make them faster. And you can do this in combination with technology, which is really exciting. So these are just some of the attitudes of what I'm observing in the trenches every day, working with, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of businesses that are out there in 2025 and seeing what's happening. And at the core of it, it's sales. The challenge with sales is selling somebody on sales is hard because they want to skip it. They fear rejection. They feel uncomfortable asking for the order. They feel uncomfortable. They feel like it's high pressure or it's pushy. And so people do everything that they can to avoid sales, and they pretend that sales isn't at the heart of it. But if you look at every big guru that's on YouTube right now, teaching you their system, whether it's some sort of agency system or whether it's some sort of drop shipping thing or whether it's an Airbnb thing or whatever these different models are that you're seeing, at the core of them, all of them have one thing in common. Somebody needs to sell something to someone. Someone needs to sell something to someone. So wouldn't it make the most sense then to do the thing that all of those have in common versus trying this one bright shiny object and trying this other shiny object and this other shiny object and this other shiny object? Yeah. So, okay. Diani says, how do I start a business with a product plan from scratch with $0 as a student? Okay. Let me spit game on all you right now. Can I spit some game for you, please? Because at the heart of why I do this is that I want to turn you on to the ideas that will impact you in the future. My biggest motivation and why I've been so successful in dollars is because the more I help other people win, the more I feel like a winner. And so if all of you right now are in a position where you say, Jason, I want to sell, I want to learn what Jordan teaches, I want to train under him the best, and I want to apply his technology of sales in my world and see how that shows up, but I don't have a product, what should I do? Well, let me drop a little bit of game on you. Here's exactly what you should do. You should find somebody else's product and sell it. I know that sounds like, oh, duh, that's obvious, Jason, but here's why this is really awesome. Because what you can do then is find the very best product in a market. So whatever market, whatever niche, whatever industry that you're interested in, go out there and find the best product in that industry. So now you're selling the best. The biggest sales secret that I ever learned is find the very best thing and then sell it. Because if you got the best thing, then all sales become easier. So once you have the best thing, you already have stacked the deck in your favor. And here's what's cool about the best thing. Not only can you feel the most strongest and comfortable and motivated to sell it, it also has the most leverage. Here's what I mean by that. The best products have the best case studies. They have the best testimonials. They have the best results. The best products have the most assets. They have the most deliverables. They have the most resources. They have the most things that its users can use to get those results. So you also have leverage now. You have more things you can sell upon, and that makes it easier. Okay? And here's the cool thing. The best products, are they the cheapest? Has a cheap product ever really truly changed your life? I don't think so. I don't think a cheap product has ever truly changed really anybody's life. That's not to say that expensive automatically does. What you look to do is get value for the dollar you invest. And generally, the products that are the best are higher ticket products. Therefore, as a commissioned salesperson or as an affiliate, which is essentially the same thing, they will give you a large percent of what you sell. So if you sell a $5,000 item and you get a 15% commission on that, that means you make $750 every time you make a sale. And that means if you can make 10 of those sales in a week, which is 2 sales a day, you've just made $7,500 in sales. This is why sales is the brokest profession if done wrong and the richest profession if done right. You follow me on this one? Because I don't know anywhere else where you can go from nothing with no product, just some technique and the ability to go out there and talk to people and conjure up thousands and thousands of dollars in thin air. Okay. Now, some of you, because I see some of the names, some of you from all over the world here, and you get worried about certain things. What about my accent? What about if English is my second language? What about, right? I will tell you this. If you can sell a product where you only get 1% of it if you close it, that's risk-free. That's a risk-free offer. Anybody will put you out there, or even if you're an affiliate, and you can sell any product yourself. You don't need permission in order to do that. And what you will discover is showing value, particularly with the communication framework that Jordan will teach you, is way more important than accent, way more important than what level of English you have, way more important than if you stumble or if you mess certain things up, because those things are the minor things. They don't really matter too much. What matters at the end of the day is people buy for 3 reasons and 3 reasons only. So write this down. There are 3 reasons why anybody buys anything. The first reason is to save them or make them money. So people will spend $1,000 today if they feel with a high degree of confidence it will make them $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the near future, or they will spend $1,000 today if they feel with a degree of confidence it will save them $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000 in the future. That's an easy sell. Okay. By the way, money is the least important reason why people buy. Time is a more important reason why people buy. So people will buy if they can save a significant amount of time, and or if the quality of time that they devote to something increases in some sort of meaningful and specific way. Okay? So people will buy to have experience where they spend time with people that excite them, that make them feel more of who they are, that make them feel more fulfilled. So a better use of existing time, or they will buy things because it will save them hours and hours and hours and hours of time. And time is money. Time is more important than money, by the way. So the second reason people will buy anything is because of time. And then the third reason, and this is actually the most important reason of all, people don't really get this. They will buy because it will allow them to increase or decrease a certain emotional state. So they will buy to feel more confidence or to feel less insecurity. They will buy to feel more love or to feel less hate. They will buy to be more hopeful of tomorrow as opposed to being less hopeless today, or both, right? And so what we sell is a combination of money, time, and emotional well-being. That's everything. So no matter what you sell, that's actually what you sell. Those are the major things. So you can be timid, you can be scared, you can stumble, you could be brand new, you could make mistakes, but if you can properly articulate and communicate those things in a way that's obvious to people who are desperate for those things and need help and know they need help, then this is how you make money. Rightfully so, I might add. Because if something can change somebody's life and they don't get it and they don't buy, who wins in that scenario? You don't win as the salesperson. They don't win as a prospect. The company doesn't win, whoever that company is, whether it's your company or if you're representing a third-party company, okay? So Jordan will teach you that, the heart of that. He will remove the noise and the clutter and everything else that's secondary that gets in the way of that. He will shine a light on that. And he has the cleanest, clearest, straight-line system in order to do that. That is the most universally applicable and the most variety of situations that I have ever seen. Generally, I sell typically very niche-y, very specific things. So I sell in very high verticals for very specific people who are looking for very specific solutions. So we have to create products that will only work for a very few amount of people who are in market, but won't work for anybody who's out of market. It is a rare and it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be able to sell something that I can confidently say that I don't care where you're at. I don't care what industry you're in, business to business, business to consumer. I don't care if your experience level is beginner, intermediate, or pro. Jordan has first principled selling. He has distilled and figured out and has been able to apply and prove in as many industries as I've ever seen these core essential techniques of selling. In God, if you just get a couple sales you otherwise would miss, this does more than pay for itself. So go ahead and click on that link, book your call, see if it makes sense for you to go further. Let me pop in and I'm going to start answering a little bit more questions. Here's how I kind of work, by the way. I will go a little bit long here. I got a couple business appointments I got to be here at a little bit, but I like the chat at the end when it slows down a little bit and I can read the questions a little bit easier. My name is Jason Fladlin, by the way. Good luck spelling that last name. What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? Oxy says, great question. By the way, a little bit of a story for you here. I was a monk when I was 20 years old. Long story. I was a monk and I was also a musician, and then I was trying to get my music out there. So I started studying business to try to sell music because I couldn't sell music. And then I got so seduced by this concept of selling that I wanted to sell, and I didn't care. I didn't like to sell music because music was entertainment. I wanted to sell something that solved problems because it was easier and it paid better. And that's how I moved into where I am now. But the advice that I would give with my 20-year-old self is this. Okay, write this down because this will be a perfect companion with what Jordan is offering here with this brand new opportunity, the first in 5 years. And it's this. You have to put yourself in a situation where you're in the field. Here's the problem with YouTube. Here's the problem with podcasting. Here's the problem with Instagram. Here's the problem with any area where you can watch and consume information. It makes you feel like you're accomplishing something when you are not. You are learning, but real learning happens when behavior transforms. Real learning occurs when behavior changes. So if you watched 1,000 videos and you still haven't done anything yet, that's a problem. So what I recommend to my 20-year-old self and every one of you here is you have to put yourself where you can be in the action. So here's what I would recommend you do. You take what Jordan teaches you here and you go to an organization that is kicking ass and taking names. So they have a lot of activity. They have a lot of leads coming in. They have a lot of product that's selling. And you say, I will do whatever it takes to be in your sales organization. I will answer the phones for you. I will close for you. I will sell the people that have said no to everybody else. I will attempt to get them to say yes. Give me, I call this the Statue of Liberty close. Would you like to know it? It goes like this, and I've taught a lot of young people this close, and it's made them a lot of money. Statue of Liberty close goes like this. If you go to the Statue of Liberty, at her feet, there's an inscription, and it says, give me your cold, give me your poor, give me your sick, give me your unwashed, huddled masses. And then very, very tiny print, it says, and I will sell them all. No, it doesn't say that, but I would have added that. So when I was young and hungry, I would go to organizations and say, give me all the leads that you have not been able to sell. Give me every single person who you are convinced will never pay you $1. Because then if I screw up the sale, you didn't lose anything. You've already written these people off. But if somehow, miracle of all miracles, I can close them, then just break off a little bit of that money for me and then talk about putting me earlier on in the sales situation, only after I prove myself. And that's the attitude. You have to be in the action. You will learn more when you can do two things simultaneously. One, study the material in the morning that Jordan gives you. And then two, fucking apply it in the afternoon in the real world. That's a positive feedback loop. I watch a training or I get feedback from my mentor. That's going to be part of what you get access to when you join the Jordan Belfort Academy here. You try something out. You first of all, you study it in the morning, you implement it in the afternoon, and you get feedback in the evening. And then you invest that into the next day, and you do it again. If you do that for 14 consecutive days, you will double your capacity if you're just beginning. It's that easy. But right now, you can't get better because you don't have a feedback cycle. You're not out there making offers and seeing what happens. So you need to combine the two. Knowledge in itself is insufficient. But action in itself is reckless. So you need a combination of the right knowledge applied with the right actions. And then refactor that, reapply it again. So find yourself a situation where there's action happening and you can test out theory in the real world every single day with a feedback cycle. And you just improve a few times and you'll already be at the top. It's really that simple. But you have to humble yourself a little bit at the first and admit that I have to be willing to do the things other people aren't willing to do. And I'm not talking like hard work stuff. I'm not like talking like work and grind 18-hour days, because I think that's fundamentally fucking stupid, by the way. It's a conversation for a different day, though. What I mean is humble yourself to say, give me the leads that suck. Humble yourself to say, give me the worst leads possible just so I can try. So that's the first secret. I'll give you one more secret here, and then I'm going to come back to the chat and answer some more questions. The second secret is this: just stay longer. So I have been known in this space and a lot of the records. So, when I went in, I did the launch with Iman Gaddazi earlier this year. We did $10 million, and we did it in 48 hours, the first 48 hours. We were doing a 5-day event, and here was my role in that event. Iman would come on, do his presentation for an hour and a half. And then I would come on and I would do informal Q&A for 3 hours every single day. And I did that for 5 days straight. And we're in Dubai. I don't know if you've been to Dubai. I'm in LA right now. I live in Los Angeles. Dubai is, we were starting at 9 o'clock at night. So I had to be finishing at 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning. And I am an old man at this point in time. I'm not really that old. I'm 42, but I got 3 kids. So that makes me like 80 years old. And I would spend 3 hours a day with everybody on the call. We'd have 50,000 people on a line on the first day. We'd have 35 on the second day, 35,000. By day 5, we only had 14,000 souls, but I stayed there for 15 plus hours. 15 plus hours. And some people needed 15 hours before they decided to buy. And they became some of the most successful people in the program. But you know who gives up on people before 15 hours? Every fucking buddy. You know who gives up on them in 14 hours? Everybody. 13, 12, 10, 9. Most people give up after 1 hour. 1. But you've done all this work to get them there. You've done all this work to have a conversation with them. So just stay longer. Here's what's really exciting about this, especially if you're just starting out. It's good practice. What better way to get better than when there's real money on the line? It's a great way to practice technique. One of the biggest insights that I ever had in my career is very early on in my career. The first year I made $150,000. And I was like happy. I lived in Iowa at the time. That's where I grew up. So $150,000 in Iowa, you're freaking rich. $1 million in LA and you're barely not poor. But I was on a call one day and I had an audience of people, because I prefer, at some point in time, you should do what I do. I don't like to sell one-on-one anymore. It's too slow. Give me 10 or 12 or 15 or 30 or 50 or 100 people and I'll sell to all of them simultaneously. There's more money that way, but it's an up-leveled skill. You'll get there eventually. But I was on a call with 5 people. I was selling 5 people at the same time. And I thought, they're still asking me questions, but the scheduled time is up. Should I continue? And I was selling a $500 product back then. So I said, if I go another hour and I make 1 sale, that's $500 an hour. $500 an hour is a pretty good deal. So I went another hour and I picked up 2 sales. So I made $1,000 in a single hour. And I thought, nice. And there's still 3 people. And I thought, should I go another hour? And I went another hour and I closed 1 more. And I made $500 that hour, right? Here's what I didn't realize, because I thought I just discovered the biggest secret in the history of secrets. I said, all I got to do is this, and I'll just make a bunch more money. I'll double my revenue. I'll go from $150,000 to $300,000 a year. What I didn't know, because I did that for the next year, is that's when I learned every really good technique in selling. Because I would have hours every single day to practice, refine, and perfect, and to have the experience. And after a year, people said, Jason, oh my God, you're a genius. You're so good. You're so naturally talented. You're a 1 in a million. You're a naturally born salesperson. Yeah, after going through a year of that, but it only took a year. And then those skills are the skills that allow me to then sell hundreds of millions of dollars of product and get to work with people like Jordan Belfort and all the top names in all the top industries. And you can do the same thing, but it starts with humbling yourself and getting dirty and selling straight up, whatever product that's a great product under whatever terms so you can get your reps in. Now, you just don't want to do that alone. You want to do that with support around you. And that's what is available to you at the Jordan Belfort Academy when you go and you book a call with the team. All right. So, and all of your questions related particularly to the specifics of that can be answered on that call. Okay. What do you say when they say we are all set right now? That's a good one, Matt. Yeah, it's a great one. So let me give you all a game on this one too. So I always think in frameworks. So earlier I gave you the frameworks. There's 3 responses to any question anybody ever says. You can agree with it, you can disagree with it, or you can ignore it. By the way, sometimes you use all 3 on the same prospect because this is like picking a lock. You try this, and if it doesn't work, you try that, and if it doesn't work, you try that, and it doesn't work, and eventually you run out of ways to fail, and then you succeed. But now here's another framework I'm going to give you. Every single thing can be viewed through one of 2 frames, either a solution frame or a problem frame. Solution frame or a problem frame. So if somebody says to me, what do you say when they say they're all set right now? Somebody says, I'm all set right now. I can look at that as a problem, or I can look at that as a solution. You say, fantastic. If you're all set right now, it sounds like you have everything lined up and ready to work. And because you're all set right now, what do you see happening in the next 12 months? Like, where's your world going to be now that you have everything all set up? Where do you envision yourself going now that you finally have everything all set up? So that's a solution outcome orientation. If you hear we're all set right now as a problem, then guess how you react to that, Matt? You say, well, shit, I don't know what to do. That's a problem. I'm encountering a problem. What I hear is something good. Oh, cool. They're all set right now. Because they're all set, what changes? Because you're all set, what are you going to do differently now than you were doing before? And then could what we have here help you do that differently? The thing that you need to do now that you're all set, right? And I mean, this is armchairing. We're doing this in the laboratory, not in the real world. So it's a generalization, just to be very clear with everybody here. But every single time I run into an issue, I always look at it from a solution outcome. If somebody says, I'm afraid, Jason, to take the next step, I said, great. We're going to use your fear as a motivator. It's not that we get rid of fear. We just don't allow fear to dictate our actions anymore. Fear can come along with us on our journey, and we can acknowledge that it's there. But if something needs to be done, do we do it regardless of whether we're afraid or not? And then we move forward. So I look at when somebody says to me, I'm afraid, I say, great, how can I use that to help this person? If somebody says, I lack confidence right now, the first thing I can ask them is, how confident are you in your lack of confidence? And we can break that pattern. That's a whole different conversation, though. But we say, cool, lack of confidence is fantastic. Because if I can make you lack confidence on your ability to fail, then you will be more likely to move forward. So one of the things you'll learn with Jordan is every single encounter you have can be viewed from 2 perspectives, either as a problem or as an opportunity. And we should be opportunity minded because, again, we're only going to be dealing with people who should be buying but haven't bought yet. We're only dealing with the people who are afraid of success more than they're afraid of staying the same. Even though in the long term, staying the same will kill them, at least it's comfortable in the short term. And that's what we sell against. We sell against the pain of staying the same versus the pain of changing. In every single instance, every positive change you make in your life is initially going to be harder than staying the same. But over the long term, staying the same will cost you more than the change will ever cost you in terms of pain and heartache and heartbreak, right? And so our goal is to help them choose the right pain for the right long-term gain. And that's what sells this. And that's why it's so beautiful. And that's why I would love for you to learn from Jordan. This is a rare opportunity that doesn't come along very often. Yep. Okay. Good stuff. Okay. Yeah. So how to use SLP on a cold call. What's your intro? That's a great question. I have not cold called Moses in 16 years. So I'm a little rusty on how I would cold call. So what I will tell you is in that program, there is nobody better in the world that has cracked the code on cold calling than Jordan has. I have always built a system where I can use inbound instead of having to go outbound. However, I will tell you this: if I lost everything, if somehow, some way, all my money evaporated overnight, and I had to feed myself, and I have a wife and I have 3 children. I also have a mother who depends on me for her well-being. I take care of her as well. And so if I had to take care of all of these important people in my life, the very first thing I would do would be cold calling. I would not even call. I would be cold knocking. I'd be going out to businesses and I would be knocking on their doors and I'd be talking to them face to face. And so The number one thing I used to do in cold calling that worked really well for me is I would flat out tell them, hey, listen, I'm cold calling you right now because I want to sell you something. I think it's good enough. Will you give me 15 seconds to try to convince you to listen to me for 15 more seconds? So I am a straight line guy. Like in my mind, I always just go straight to the sell. I have something I think will be awesome for you. Give me 15 seconds to pitch it. And if you hate me, throw me out of your store. If you like me, give me 15 more seconds. That's a frame. We set a frame. We set a frame in those situations, right? Yeah. But as soon as you get good at selling, you will no longer have to cold call again. Because then you can work with organizations that do inbound sales, and you will make more money with that, and you will feel better. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. These same techniques work just as good in cold calling in terms of they're just as effective, but it's not a you problem, it's a them problem. It's your posture, your positioning, if you will, is weakest when you cold call. Is it still worth doing if you need to make money? 100%, because cold calling is the fastest way to get in front of somebody. It's the fastest way that you can start to make money. And as soon as you make that money, then you have the decision. If some people love cold calling, you can continue to grow on that side, or you can then switch over into another model if you want to, where the techniques still work. And by the way, the techniques then get a better return, even though you're using the same techniques, but everything in due time, right? Everything in due time. Yeah, it's a great point though. What is yeah, that is Krishna. So I told you I was a monk. You're right, Amraj. Yeah. By the way, I learned more about how to sell by first getting in that meditative state many years ago, learning the art of calm and cool and level-headedness, which then shows up in a sales situation. That's some advanced stuff. Ryan says, what's a common piece of advice given to young entrepreneurs that you think is completely misleading or outdated? Well, the first one that I will tell you, and we've already addressed this, that's outdated, is that people do not sell. They do not optimize themselves to be good at selling. They ignore selling. They skip selling. Many years ago, I sold a lot of Amazon trainings and programs. I was one of the leaders in the space. And a lot of the reason people were attracted to the Amazon opportunity is because they felt they didn't need to sell, because Amazon would sell your physical products for you. And guess what happened? As soon as Amazon let you build up their platform, then they choked out all the sellers to death, because Amazon was in control of the sales process. So they used their people in order to build their empire. And then a lot of people got cast out in the dark. And now they're back to the step zero with no sales techniques. What's cool is in 2025, there is more opportunity to sell than ever. You can bounce somebody from a direct message right there onto a call. You can close right in a DM if you want to. You can put a lot of content out there that gets people to inbound to reach out to you. You can read other people's content, slide up into their DMs and start a sales conversation. By the way, who here gets spam in their DMs? If anybody's on LinkedIn, how much spam do you get on a weekly basis? Too much, right? That is shitty sales. Who the fuck's teaching these people this stuff? This is why sales gets such a bad name, because 90% of people do it terribly. My joke is, if sales was brain surgery, the patient would be dead. Because, God, people do sales so terribly, 95% of them. And that's why the 5% who do it so well get paid better than doctors and lawyers, okay? So the first outdated piece of advice is that sales is less important than ever. That's the first biggest issue. The second biggest issue here is thinking that things like social media and paid advertising are going to take care of it for you. They're not. I will tell you, I work with so many organizations and they pay me so much amount of money. Just so you know, to book an hour of my time is $3,500 an hour. To do an hour of sales presentations, if I'm not getting paid on the performance, which is typically the agreements I start with most companies, but some companies, when we're initially starting off, I get paid $10,000 an hour to do group closing like this, just to start it out. So I consult with a lot of clients at $3,500 an hour. That's how we initially engage. And most of them are doing $10 to $50 million a year. And every single one of them, with rare exception, has a sales team. So they drive advertising from Facebook, from Meta, and they do social media where people book calls or people reach out, and then they have closers get on the phone with them. So The number one way that all organizations have in common that I'm working with, and these are the leading organizations on the platform, on the, excuse me, on the internet, is they use sales closers. And every single one of them tells me we would scale faster if we had more closers. Every one of them. But they don't. They don't. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So the other outdated piece of advice is I don't think you need to kill yourself in this process. If you do it right, you shouldn't have to work so hard. So there's a lot of, I mean, I'll get into some memes. You want me to get into a couple, I want me to kill some sacred crowds. All this social media shit that you read out there, these guys are pretending success is one thing when it's another thing. So I know it's celebrated to kill yourself, to grind your ass off, to work 16-hour days, 7 days a week, all that bullshit, right? If you're good enough, you don't have to do that. That is somebody justifying their workaholism as a good thing when it's a destructive thing. So if you're good enough, you don't have to work that hard, nor should you want to work that hard. That's the first thing. The second thing is like getting up at 5 in the morning and all that kind of stuff. I guess if that works for you, great. Most of the guys I know that are making money, I typically get up at 8 in the morning, maybe 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. Now there's opportunities where you do run hard occasionally. You do sprint from time to time. Don't get me wrong, but success is not about cold plunges and waking up early in the morning. And it's not about, lifting weights and getting a 6-pack abs and having this ultra refined discipline, right? I mean, if you've seen the movie, and I know you have, with The Wolf of Wall Street, I don't think Jordan was grinding and doing cold plunges as he was making $50 million a year. So you feel it, right? Sales is way more important than all of those things combined. Now, some of those things can help you get in a better mindset. There's value to them, of course, but I think they are overvalued. I think people forget how they got to success, and then they rewrite their past and present it as the way, when in reality, it has very little to do with how it actually was done. How it's actually done is you find an incredible product, or you created an incredible product, you find an audience that gets tremendous value from that product, and then you sell the hell out of that product. The better the product is, the harder you sell it, by the way. So the better the solution you have, the harder you should push it. If you had the cure for cancer, would you be timid about selling it? Or would you push it harder? You would push it harder, because if you miss the right fit audience, they will die. And that's how I feel about selling. We find the very best products in the world to sell. By the way, there are more better products that exist right now than at any point in time in history. The problem is they're lost amongst the sea of mediocre products, because there are more mediocre products that exist than at any time in history. So if we have the better product, it will have bigger impact, and it has more value because they're harder to find these days. So we take the best product and we sell it harder than everybody else sells their average product. Because the harder we sell it, the more value and the more impact we have, and the more people appreciate it. But you got to put the right structure and technique in place. And this is why, if this is resonating with you, you should go and you should book a call. Click the link at the top there in the YouTube chat. Why haven't you bought Re-Earth Grow? Hey, listen, I'll tell you why I'm going bald, right? It's like I gotta show y'all I'm not completely superhuman, right? I gotta have a couple flaws that are obvious just to keep up the appearances. That's funny. Now, one day I'll get on Turkish hairlines. I'll go over there and fly and get some implants. How much do you allocate for pushing the product? So what we first do is we find a market to serve with the minimum amount of spend possible. This is just my approach. There are so many ways to the top of the mountain. Let me actually break this down for a second. Let me take a step back, because this is important. Just because one specific way works, it doesn't invalidate every other way. There are many different ways that all work simultaneously. Sometimes the opposite of a thing is just as good as a thing, by the way. So this whole binary concept of it's either this way or it's that, either you win or you lose, either you succeed or you fail, either you're happy or you're sad. Either you're a winner or a loser. Like, these are black and white thinking, and that's not how the world works, right? So there are many different ways about it. I will just give you a model that has served me well to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. Is we find the minimum viable product initially to satisfy the hungriest part of the market. So does the hungriest part of a market need a beautiful logo? Does it need a wonderful members area? Does it need a coat of polish on the product? Does it need a beautifully well-designed package? None of that bullshit, right? The Mona Lisa is still the Mona Lisa, whether she's hanging in the Louvre or she's hanging in a warehouse, right? So we find the hungriest market with the least amount of inputs possible in order to solve their problem. And then we get their wins. We invest some of the money back into the product to take it up to the next rung of people that are not quite as hungry, but still hungry, who need a little bit more resources and a little bit more production in order for them to then say yes. And then we take part of that and we invest it and we run it up the ladder to the next part. And we keep doing this until we saturate the whole entire market, or until we make enough money to stop. Whatever comes first, whatever we're happy with. So that's my personal opinion on the matter. But the sales process stays the same, and it's the heart of all of those. All of those markets still have the same sales structure. The dress may change, the shoes may change, but it's still the sales process. So the cosmetics of it may change slightly, but at the heart of it is still the same techniques, which is why I was so happy to hear Jordan say earlier, when they were selling to Fortune 500 folks, when they were selling to rich people, or when they were selling the penny stocks, the approach was fundamentally the same. But unfortunately, some people psyched themselves out on the approach, and they were literally cheating themselves out of millions of dollars because of the fact that they believed that somehow it changed. The cosmetics change, but at the heart of it, it's still the same. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I forgot the question. Run it back if you can. What do you think about the reselling business? I like the reselling business a lot, because what I'll do, and this is a big secret, that I have found to work really well in this market. It's really easy these days to create product. I don't know if you know this or not, but with artificial intelligence and with the access to information which flows freely available on the internet, it's really easy for you to create product. And so what I have always done with companies that I've worked with to really make a lot of money is I don't just sell the offer they give me. You ready for this? I then go out and create my own bonuses. So when they buy from me, they also get additional bonuses. They also get new things that they otherwise wouldn't get, right? And I could do this today. We didn't talk about this, but I will give you, I'll do a little something for you, okay? I have a thing called offer modality. It's a training that I do. So far, only people that have paid $3,000 have had access to this training of offer modality. What I did once upon a time is I analyzed 18 years of sales pitches that I've done, and I isolated every single sales pitch that made 7 figures or more for me, and I had 32 different sales pitches, unique specific sales pitches that did 7 figures or more. And then I said, what were all the deliverables in the offer of each of these 32 sales pitches? So sometimes I would sell done-for-you services. Sometimes I would sell software. Sometimes I would sell one-on-one coaching. Sometimes I would sell resource guides. Sometimes I would sell group coaching. And those are modalities. So I identified the common modalities that comprised all of the different compelling offers that I made over the years. And then I isolated each modality, and I determined the best way to position, sell, create, deliver, and articulate the value of that modality. And I put it all into a Notion document, and I give this to my top clients now. So I will give anybody here who books a call and ends up signing up and enrolling in the program. If you enroll in the program, just send me the receipt, and I will give you offer modality for free. Okay? So you can find me at jasonfladlin.com, and you can write into my support there. Send me the receipt. If you sign up, we will give you that for free. That's an example. I just walked the talk right there, right? So when I'm selling products, if I see some sort of area that prevents me from selling a product as a reseller, I will just add a bonus to it, obviously within the terms of the agreement, if I can do that. with the vendor that I'm working with. But this is true for every offer that I make. Every offer that I make, I look at if the offer has some sort of objection that is created in it for some sort of subsegment of some sort of audience, I'll just create a deliverable to make them happier. It doesn't cost really anything. And if it makes just a couple more sales, what a great investment, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, as a salesperson, you are a problem solver. You are a problem solver. Like, God, I think of so many times, like, I have a wealth advisor here. He's in Orange County, and he manages my money. And I can't tell you the number of things that he has done for me that have nothing to do with investing my money as value adds. And he's kept me as a client for years, and he'll make millions of dollars off me by the time we're all said and done. Because he will do things that have nothing to do with financial investment because he's a problem solver. And that's the attitude that you should have. You're a professional problem solver. You get paid to solve problems. We just call it sales. And so the techniques to get through that process, you can grab them here. Thank you, everybody who's putting my name in the chat right now. I appreciate that. I should have showed up with lower thirds and all that kind of stuff. German says, how do you make a $2,000 offer attractive for someone who makes less than that? So here's the deal. If you are doing it right, you should be selling to people that are capitalized enough to buy the product that you're selling. Because I don't care how good the product is. If you're selling a $10,000 product to somebody who doesn't have any money, you will not make that sale. So what you try to do is you target as best as you can to only sell to people who are in market and who are qualified. Now, when you reach thousands of people like we did today on fucking YouTube of all places, right? Then you're going to capture a wide variety of different people at different stages. So one of the reasons I like to sell the way that I sell with you right here, right now, is hopefully you see this. I am dropping game independent of whether you buy or not from us today. I'm giving you strategies, insights. I'm giving you useful information that will empower and help you independent on whether you pay us money or you don't pay us money. And that is my favorite way of selling. It's an advanced way of selling. You can get there. So this is the first thing. So that way, if you can't rub two nickels together, you still walk away empowered. And then if you become successful, the first thing you're going to want to do is come back to us and spend money with us. So it's a smart business decision. But generally, what you go against is when people say that they can't afford it, what they're really saying is, I would rather use the money somewhere else currently. And until I understand how the best use of my money is with this program, I won't say yes. And so once you know you're solving for that, then it becomes a lot easier. But 90% of the time when people say, I don't have the money, what they're really saying to you is, I would rather keep my money where it's at, or I'd rather have the flexibility to put it somewhere else. It's not that they don't have the money. They're afraid of the opportunity cost of deploying that money with you. Now, unfortunately, if you let people have a knee-jerk reaction, okay? So let me ask you a question. If you and I were to meet each other and I was walking towards you and I reached out my hand to shake your hand, you would automatically reach back out to shake my hand, wouldn't you? It's a natural reaction. It has been conditioned. We call this a conditioned response that has been habituated over a period of time. You feel me? Okay? So what happens is prospects have been conditioned when they really want to buy something to immediately get scared to spend the money. They've been conditioned like, oh my God, if I'm going to buy something, this money might go somewhere and I don't have control over it anymore. So therefore I will shut down because I'm temporarily afraid. And my natural response is I can't afford it. So they've habituated that response. So whether that serves them or not, whether that is true or not, that is the conditioned response. My question to you, if you allow somebody that you can help to stay in that conditioned response, which doesn't serve them, is that a good thing for you? Or is that a terrible thing for them and for you? And so this is a lot of sales is better therapy than therapy. And I've done a lot of therapy. I've had a lot of fucked up things happen in my life. To me, I've learned more about coaching and helping somebody and unblocking limitations and empowering individuals through sales than I have through any other training modality that's ever existed, any other study that I've ever applied. Okay? You will learn more about yourself in the sales process than you will learn about anybody else, and it will make you more of who you are if you are sincere and if you are committed to it. The hardest sell in the world, by the way, is who? You on yourself. Okay? You have within you more potential and more capability and more possibility than you can even imagine. It's not that you're afraid of failure. You're afraid of how far you truly can go in this world and what would that look like if you don't meet that potential. That's the real limitation. I mean, I'm just telling you, right? That's just really what you're at war against. So you have to sell yourself every single day on the best version of who you actually are. And unfortunately, too many of us censor that. Too many of us don't allow ourselves to sell ourselves on our full capabilities. So therefore, we operate underneath of those full capabilities. And isn't that heartbreaking? Isn't that a tragedy? So the best person you could ever sell is you. The hardest person you'll ever sell is you. And I've had to do this on myself before I could do this effectively at the level that I do this now. But what's cool is oftentimes the best lessons I've learned on my own in the sales process have been when they've been pointed at other people. So when I sold somebody else and I saw their limitation, it was almost like a mirror. It helped me better reflect on my own limitation. And then it helped me better get over my own limitation. I solved more of my own problems by solving other people's problems. I took care of my own needs better by taking care of other people's needs. But it has to be the right people in the right environment with the right structure. If you're doing this blind, that's scary. You could be climbing the ladder of success, but it might be leaning against the wrong building. So you want both. You want what I'm talking about here combined with structure. You want to shortcut the success, because if somebody's figured it out and has optimized for it, it's cheaper to pay them than it is to do it through blood, sweat, and tears. How do you handle a hard no buyer? Yeah, you disengage, but you gotta understand where hard no's are. There's a difference between a soft no, a medium no, and a hard no. If you show up with sincerity, if you show up with the right attitude, people will tolerate you for a very long time because they'll say, this person seems to have my best interest at heart. So even though I don't think I want to buy from them, they seem sincere, so I will continue to listen to them and give them the benefit of the doubt. And then you explore. Your goal isn't to sell everybody. Your goal is to figure out who it's more expensive for not to buy. And then help them understand that. So let's run that back for a second. Your goal is to sell the people that cost them more to say no than it does for them to say yes. That's who you sell. You sell it because it's going to be more expensive to say no. However, sometimes you've got to have long conversations to unpack that to determine if it's more expensive for them to buy or if it's more expensive for them to not buy. And so obviously when somebody pushes out and ejects and says a hard no, it's done. And there's more people out there. There's 8 billion people on this earth. We don't need any single one of them to say yes. And we don't want to cast pearls before swine, right? We don't want to waste our time with people that we can't help who won't help us. However, with that said, the best way to get somebody who has said a hard no to say yes is to sell their competitor and get them a huge win. I can't tell you how many deals I have when somebody says, Jason, I made a mistake. I said no to you. Then you went off and worked with somebody else in my space and you did really well for them. And now I'm here seeing if you'll work with me. So there's no such thing as a hard no in the sales business. There's a not yet. No is short for not yet. The T and the Y and the E and the T are in parentheses. By the way, the other shorthand of no is K-N-O-W. So the parentheses is around the K and the W, and no typically means I don't know enough, or I need to know more information to determine, okay? So how much do we pay? So go and book your call, and then we can determine what level it makes sense for you to engage in. One of the ways that why I love working with offers like these is I don't have to square peg a round hole. I don't have to force you to only go through one door and hope that's the right door for you. When you have a conversation, when you book your call, then you can determine at what level it makes sense for you. Because some people are at different levels right now in terms of your capitalization, in terms of your experience, in terms of your goals in life. Yep. What's the single most important routine or habit that you have that attributes to your success? Okay, so I will tell you the number one secret of success. Would you like to know what it is? Number one secret of success is this, okay? It's showing up consistently over a long period of time. That's the number one secret to success. And then I'm going to wrap up here, okay? I would love to wrap. I'd love to hang out longer, but we have a hard deadline. But let me unpack this for you. I'll do one final call to action, and I'll kick it back over to the team here. Yeah. Consistently showing up over a long period of time is the number one attribute to success. Now, here's the second level to that. Showing up every day, making small percentages of improvement. Okay? You feel me on this one? You feel me on this one? So let's break it down completely so we can lock this in and we can understand this. You ready for it? Most of winning is in consistently showing up day in and day out. So you just got to show up. How many leads are you talking to right now? Real talk. How many potential prospects do you get on the phone with right now and try to make money? How many deals are you closing on a regular basis at this point in time? Are you doing 10 a day, 12 a day, 15 a day, 20 a day? I will guess that most of you are doing less than 2 a day. Most of you are doing 0 a day. Some of you, I see ABR 12, I see Vid 6, I see Aturo 5. We have a little bit of a delay, right? Okay. Every day, you should be trying to close several people over and over again. So consistently showing up every single day. When it rains, you show up. When it shines, you show up. When you have a headache, you show up. When you feel really good, you show up. When your heart is broken, you show up. So showing up is a majority of success repeated over a very long period of time. But here's the second part of it. Small improvements consistently applied over a period of time. You could suck today, but if you sucked a little less tomorrow and then sucked a little bit less the day after that, it wouldn't be long before you would be amazing. So you need to be able to have a percentage of your time where you reflect on the day and you run it through 3 lenses. And here are the 3 lenses. Lens number 1, what did I know? What did I learn today that was useful to me? And you note that. What was something that I learned today that was useful to me? Number 2, what didn't go well that I could improve upon? And then number 3, what can I now do that I couldn't do before because I'm aware of something? And you run those 3 things too, and then you invest them in tomorrow, okay? And then that's the secret of success. Now, you can do that alone, and that will get you there. When you do that with the right program, when you're able to then take training from the very best and apply that each day, where you take a little bit of the training and then you go and apply it, consistently showing up. And then when you do the postmortem at the end of the day, that's what we call this, and you reflect on it. What do I now know that I didn't know before? What can be improved upon? What can I invest in my tomorrow? And you factor that through the training to support you on your journey. You will accelerate your results. You will get rich quick fast. You will get rich quick, because that's a short time horizon. It's not instantly, but what's your definition of quick? I went from nothing to top level revenue in a very short period of time, less than 2 years. So much for not being able to do that. It's not as quick as some of you would like. It's not microwave quick, but it's quicker than anything else I know. So showing up consistently every day with making small percentages of improvement over a period of time, usually a year or less is all you need, and you will put yourself in the top earners, my friend. But you don't do it alone. That is the hardest way. That is the most expensive way. That is the most difficult way. That is the way that is the most dangerous. You do it in the right environment with the right people who are all pointed in the same direction. That's how you do it, okay? You invest in yourself, because here's the biggest secret of sales, and then I'll finish it up. It's this. Biggest secret of sales. How can you expect somebody else to invest and sell them on investing in themselves if you yourself don't invest in yourself? If you don't spend the money on you, how can you help somebody else spend the money on them? So a lot of sales is congruency. If you're not the type of person who can invest in yourself, then it's going to be very difficult for you to ask somebody else to invest in themselves. But if you're making the investments in the time and in the money and in the attitude, then when somebody comes to you and looks at you and hesitates, you will know what that feels like, and you will also know how to overcome it because you yourself have overcome it. You can reach within you and give something you have to somebody else. But if you don't have it, you can't give it. If it doesn't show up in you, you can't transfer it over to somebody else. And so this is the experience that we really bank on. I love investing in myself because it gives me new capabilities, and it also allows me to show up for somebody else when they need to make an investment in myself and say, I know what that's like. I know how difficult that can be. I know how scary that can be. I'm aware of the uncertainty involved in it. I'm aware of the new accountability and responsibility that's attached to it. And I'm here to help you unwind it and work through it and see if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. I'm not asking you today to give me your kidney. I'm not asking you today to name your firstborn after me. I'm not asking you to jump with your eyes closed into unknown depths of unknown waters, right? I am asking you to take a step forward, book your call at the link, have a conversation, and then if it nets, it nets. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. My name is Jason Fladlin. It has been an honor to have a conversation with you here today, to do the favorite thing I do in the world, which is sell you on yourself, sell you on something that I think can help you. So it's been an honor and a privilege, and I share with you the gratitude of that. We are wrapping up now. Last chance, book your call there. I'm signing off. I appreciate each and every one of you. Once you sign up and become a member, find me, write to my support, and if you signed up, send the receipt. I'll give you that extra bonus. Offer modality. I can't believe I did that. But hey, sometimes when you're in the moment, you just go with it, you channel it, and hopefully it makes sense. So you get that as an extra bonus when you sign up. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.